I am woman, and this is my story.
I am woman, and this is my story.
I am woman, and this is my story.
I am woman, this is my story.
I am woman, and this is my story.
I am woman, and this is my story.
I am woman, and this is my story. If someone has come to you in a circumstance, how did that make you feel personally? And if you sort of want to discuss the circumstance and talk about what exactly happened.
Okay. Yes, for me, it happens periodically. I've been teaching here, 15 or more years, and every couple of years it happens. I think the first time a student came to me, a Spelman student, I was really shocked once again, thinking we're in the ivory tower in this insulated, private institution of, middle class students, and we don't have these, urban or, American problems with violence. So I had a student, a young lady, attractive young lady who was doing well in my class, and all of a sudden her performance fell off. I could tell she was, stressed out and going through something. No physical bruises or outward signs, but she came and told me she was in an abusive relationship and didn't know what to do. I felt angry, and as a graduate of the AUC, I try to empathize with students. So it was hard for me to come to grips with another student in the AUC who was perpetrating this behavior. So I felt angry and helpless. We do have a counseling center, and that's the standard response to send students to the counseling center. But I think here at Spelman, a lot of our students feel more comfortable coming to the Women's Center, where we are now, as opposed to going through the counseling center and, possibly having something reported. So this student, I think, was able to get out of this relationship, but it was just very, hard for me to handle that as a professor.
I think anytime you're in the presence of a woman that is talking about such a sad experience in her life, it saddens you as well. And as a woman, I think for me, I empathize with her, but somehow I have to move beyond being sad to talk about, some form of action, be it counseling. Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes I may ask questions about, what is going on right now. Are you still at risk right now? And sometimes it even happens in women's studies classrooms, because we do have safe space in the classrooms. So sometimes it may even happen in the classroom where students will talk about different experiences in the classroom, and then we all have a chance to talk about it and to share and to learn from one another's experiences. And those are always very poignant, moving classes where people open up in that particular way and talk about their experience to help one of their sisters. And so sometimes I feel frustrated, sometimes I feel angry, and then sometimes as I listen to young women's ideas about what domestic violence is, what it looks like, and their responses, and sometimes I get angry because it's difficult for me to understand how women, because there are some women that think that it's acceptable. And so to try to work through those issues in the classroom and still be sensitive to whoever the victim happens to be at that time it's a very fine line that you walk, and you have to really think about, how to approach those situations, what to say to make everybody feel good about it, because you don't want somebody leaving there feeling worse than they did when they came in. And I think as a women's studies professor, when they talk about for feminism, the personal is political. So then things that are personal for other people become personal for me, and then domestic violence becomes a very political issue.
In 8 out of 10 rape cases, the victim knows the perpetrator. 13%, that's over 1 out of 10, adult women have been victims of completed rapes.
So many people want to ignore the fact that two women who love each other can be in abusive relationships. two men who are in a relationship can be in an abusive relationship. And I think the issue with that happens because society doesn't see same-sex relationships as being domesticated, so then therefore it cannot be a domestic issue or a domestic dispute. I have friends who are in same-sex relationships who have been in physically abusive relationships with their girlfriends. Is that taken seriously? No. Even by the law, is it that taken seriously? No. I've had a friend who went to a police officer and told her, this girl who happened to be her girlfriend at the time, she's being irate with me, we're out in public, she's threatening me, and the police officer laughs in her face. It's become amusing. It's just not taken seriously. If it's not acknowledged, when it is acknowledged, it's not taken as seriously as if a man was to beat on a woman. Not saying one is more, heavily or more important than the other, but the other needs to be acknowledged.
Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women between the ages of 15 to 44. Every 21 days, a woman is killed by domestic violence. 1 of every 3 abused children becomes an adult abuser or victim. Black women experience 35% more incidents than white women in domestic violence. More than 2.5 million females experience some form of violence each year. 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. Domestic violence by an intimate partner is the leading killer of Black women ages 15 to 45.
At first, it seemed like a regular relationship, but you notice little things, slight aggression, just random things in the beginning that you may not pay attention to, but you realize going into it, even being deep in it, that you should have paid attention to those things in the beginning. Reminiscing now, it seems very surreal, almost like while I was involved, I used to have outer body experiences, like when it would be that bad, I would almost take myself out of it because it was just like, this isn't happening to me. And I think probably one of the worst things that he ever did to me, and it's not even important why he did it, because I feel like people want to know, what did you do to make him that mad? But that's such an ignorant statement, because I feel like no woman should ever have to do anything to make a dude that mad. I was like, if you're that mad, then you should just walk away, and you shouldn't be with that person. But
did he ever hit you?
But I wouldn't say that was the worst. I think the worst thing that he ever did to me was he spit in my face. And I remember we were riding in the car and something happened. I was actually at work, but I was so upset because he had caused the scene, and he had called me and told me that I better come outside or there were going to be some problems. So my boss saw that I was upset, so she allowed me to leave, and we were in the car, we were arguing, and he mushed my head up against the window. And at that point, I was just like, what is wrong with you? I was crying. I was like, you don't have a right to do that. And it went from him mushing my head up against the window to he pulled the car over and told me to get out of the car. So I got out of the car, and he came around the car and he spit in my face. And I was just like, of course you feel like the scum of the earth, because that's what you do, you spit on the ground. I know now what I wouldn't tolerate ever again.
It is up to us
as a society to stop these atrocities from happening.
It is imperative as educated Black women and men
to speak out
and eradicate verbal,
sexual, and domestic violence.
Are we going to sit stagnant, or are we going to progress as a people?
These are our mothers,
our sisters,
our grandmothers,
our friends,
our children.
We are the future.
This is our history. These are our voices. This is our story. And we can make a difference.